Um, actually, there's been this whole drama. I don't know if you guys have caught up with it. There's been this whole drama. I was asking last week a bit about. I wonder what's going on. It's with Sheikh Aslam, and he'd been receiving also some kind of death threats, and I was trying to ask that, what's happening with Sheikh Aslam, because for the most part he's a pleasant, sweet guy. He's not somebody controversial, and he's not somebody who rocks the boat. Or But yeah, so it turns out, people, this is what it is. It's just like sectarian venom. So some of the Brailvis have turned on Sheikh Aslam. They're Brailvi Sufi. He's also from that kind of background, but they've turned on him, and the pretext was, he had done a video where he's carrying a child in prayer, and I think he's trying to show that, there's a Hanafi ruling called al-amalul kathir. Al-amalul kathir, yunaqidu salah, or yunafi salah, that it breaks salah. Yeah. So if you move around in prayer, your prayer breaks. Now, this is really more so a Hanafi thing. Hanafis are really, unfortunately, they're very pedantic in their fiqh. Their fiqh does not reflect the spirit of Imam Abu Hanifa in the slightest. Maybe there's fossils, there's fossilized fatwas in the madhab that show this madhab it may have had, it has some traces going back to Imam Abu Hanifa, or that Imam Abu Hanifa was once here. There's fossil footprints, but they're just fossils, fossil traces. The madhab itself is, it's like a completely, it's a different, it's like a Frankenstein, to what Imam Abu Hanifa was. And I'm not saying this to diss people who are Hanafi. I said before that, look, this is, unfortunately, it just is the way it is. So, people who are open minded and want to develop, it's difficult for them to remain Hanafi and be like that. They can do it, but it's hard. And they'll face a lot of slack from people because it's going against the entire stream that is so locked in. And but coming back to this point, but some scholars do that, like Sheikh Atabek, and people like Sheikh Atabek are a breath of fresh air for the Hanafiya. But one of the only reasons Sheikh Atabek has managed, or it's not one of the only reasons, but a reason that has helped his cause, is that he's not from a part of the world that dominates an Islamic discourse. So, like I've mentioned previously, certain countries dominate Islamic discourses throughout the world. It's very it's interesting. You can't escape geography. It's you can't escape geography. What's that book? What's the book about? I've got it here somewhere. It's about why it's about, like, why geography matters, but it's trying to show how, if you just understand the history of geography, all the current world political, um whether it's rivalry or issues, or catastrophes, all make sense if you just understand the geography of things. I've got it here somewhere, but I've forgotten the title. Right, you guys probably, somebody will probably put it up there. But so this makes a lot of sense. So Sheikh Atabek, because he's not from one of those countries, I feel that's helped him in his cause. But coming back to this, so the Hanafiya have a lot of weird fatwa about salah. And one of them is this, about if you move in such a way, um, why is every mod a girl? Look at the issues going on, people. See, look, these are the issues, huh? I'm trying to explain something so deep and complex, and some persons come on here and he's like, why are these moderators girls? I'm sure there's some guys in there as well. If you're that keen, I'm sure some of those guys can get in touch with you. Frowdy Frubbery, if you get in touch with the brother and he wants some intimate disclosure about your gender. So yeah, right now that's it. See, Rosalina says 99 problems. That's the issue with the world. Why? Me. Coming back to the point. So there are some strange fatwa to do with salah. Like things like, so for example, if you laugh in salah, your wudu breaks. Things like this, which are odd and peculiar. But also the Hanafiya have a thing that if you compute anything mentally within salah, it breaks your prayer. So like if you can read something, like let's say I'm praying now and I read this, size matters. Does it? I don't right. So but if you read something, your salah breaks because you computed like mentally, that you cognitively processed data. So to cognitively process data that is meaningful, not just data like, oh, the color of the carpet is brown, but to compute anything that is interpreted as information that can add to your knowledge. So I suppose if size matters may not mean much, it could, I guess. But if there was a sentence or something, you would break your salah, which is really weird, actually. It's weird as hell. But anyway, so they have this ruling that if you are moving in such a way, like if you do more than three consecutive movements in salah, your salah breaks. Obviously, needless to say, all these things are made up and don't mean anything. You can do it all in salah, okay? So just so the Malikiya obviously didn't accept any of this stuff years ago, but now here comes the mas'ala: can you carry a child whilst praying? Because naturally, when you're carrying the child, you're doing this, and the child might be moving, and you're kind of moving around. And maybe as you go to the floor, you put the child down, then you do your sajda. Now you get up, you hold the child again. So there's a few movements that are consecutive. And because the Hanafiya have this three strike rule that if you do three consecutive movements, like out, out, this one, out. So you go like this. One, two, and that you're out. So if because you've done three movements now, you've picked up the child, now you've got up, you've probably straightened the child, so your salah is invalid. Now, Sheikh Aslam had done a video where he had said that he was praying with a child, and then he quotes the hadith that the Prophet held Umama, and he prayed. And this is a hadith that the Prophet prayed carrying a child. So he said, well, look, this is fine, and this doesn't uh, violate the principle of amalul kathir, such excessive action that violates the prayer. Anyway, so they jumped on him, and people like, what the hell? You're not allowed to go outside the Hanafi madhab. This is the Hanafi madhab. I've said it. Radul Muhtar, Ibn Abidin. Ibn Abidin is, by the way, he's the sun shines out of Ibn Abidin. He is like the great god Ra. Oh, Ibn Abidin, you're doing it. You're doing it. So Ibn Abidin is only from like about 150 years ago, by the way. But he lived in Damascus. But he's like the heavyweight, undisputed Hanafi. He outranks, and whatever he says is today the Hanafi madhab. It doesn't matter whether Abu Hanifa said something else. It doesn't matter whether Abu Yusuf said something. His choice. What he chooses is what the Hanafi madhab goes by today. So they said, well, Ibn Abidin, he said it's not allowed, and blah, blah, blah. And so now they're unleashing the wrath of hell. The dogs of hell, the hounds of hell were unleashed. Go, fetch. So Sheikh Aslam Bichara was just getting, hounded by these people. And then I didn't know this, but Sheikh Aslam has a kind of TV, children's program about where he dresses as a teddy bear, I think. So they had a clip of Sheikh Aslam. So I don't know whether that's him or he's just doing the voiceover. So he's kind of speaking to children, Assalamu alaikum. And so they go, what the hell is this nonsense? An alim isn't allowed to dress as a teddy bear. They go, yaar, ye kaun sa role play ho raha hai? Yaar? What this role play, man? This one, not too much, man, too much. So they started unleashing at him, and yeah, so he was proper. And then they also attacked him about his hair. You know, you can never please people, though, isn't it? So they said Sheikh Aslam, his hair is like quite long. So they had this picture of him. I was watching it. Like a close up. He's got his face, his hat or whatever, and he's got hair which is probably like hanging onto his kind of traps. And they go, "What on earth is this?" These are the sheikhs. They go, "What on earth is this?" They go, "This is clearly tashabbuh bin nisa. This is uh, acting like a woman." Oh, Pantene, L'Oreal. So yeah, so they just have been hounding him, and but it's madness. It's madness. Um, but I hope I hope people can just see sense and follow sense and logic, and not this kind of like mob mentality, and in all honesty, what it is people are just jealous of Sheikh Aslam because they they just see that he's got like a following, and he's not. You see, the thing about Sheikh Aslam is, even though he's very intelligent, but I don't think his talks are usually very ilmi. I think his talks are just more just saying soft things and nice things, and they're very mystical as well, very kind of Sufic sometimes, and a bit of folklore and that kind of, and so he addresses that kind of, I don't know, that kind of audience. And recently he's been doing a lot of talks in Mirpuri as well. So there's all of that as well. Now, people are just, they feel that why is he getting attention? And that's it. So people, this jealousy, this one, not nice.